I need these. Minasan, konnichiwa, konbanwa, ohayo gozaimasu. Yokoso, yokoso. Welcome in. So today, I've been in like a giddy-ish mood lately, honestly. Like the day before yesterday, I was just hooing melodically. I was melodically hooing. And then some called said something. And then I said, there must be an owl in the room or something like that. Oh, my chat did the thing again. I don't know why it's doing this. I don't know why it does this sometimes. I'll pop it out. Boom. Solution. Um, and, oh, girl, not like that. And I started laughing. We had Vegan Bertha for lunch today. It's like a mashed eggplant with some other stuff. And I was like, this is not the kind of eggplant I want in my life right now, but it's probably the only kind of eggplant I really need. Shout out to Venus for going into Taurus, because now that she's out of Aries, I feel significantly more hydrated, if you catch my drift. And my friend, he doesn't drink, but he had two Yinglings in the fridge. And I was like, hey, can I have the beer in the fridge? He was like, yeah. So that's what I'm drinking. I poured it in a glass to be less conspicuous, to be more inconspicuous. And I think I talked about that, but yesterday, pouring liquids in different containers or something like that. So if the consumption of alcohol offends, then this may not be the video for you. Also, I'm the type of person that doesn't really ask for much from anyone, if I think about it, besides like decency and respect and the things that people should generally get. And I don't really ask for much from spirit either. And I've been hearing so much like, you have these guides, you have this whole team, and they're waiting for you to ask them to do something. They're there to assist you. And I'm usually like, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. But I was watching something earlier. I don't know if they said, like, you'll get a sign. But I was just like, can I ask for signs? I was like, yeah, duh, girl. I was like, okay, well, give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more time. It's not the beer, y'all. It might be the beer. Honestly, I'm the type of person like I'll have one drink and then I'll just start pretending like I'm drunk because it's fun and it irritates some people. But, I mean, I don't need a drink to act silly. But anyway, I was trying to say Bertha earlier today. Bertha. Bertha. And I wasn't pronouncing it right. And I just like bust into a fit of giggles. So back to whatever I was talking about, my train of thought is gone. It's non-existent. So I was like, can I ask for a sign? And I was like, yeah. I was like, okay, well, give me a sign. Ooh. I said, ooh, because Aziraphale, Angel of Song, was on the bottom of the deck when I said, oh my gosh, the Angel of Song. There's another sign. And then I was like, ooh, because Azazel, Angel of Sacrifices, is at the top of the deck, with Barbiel, Angel of Scorpio, behind the Angel of Sacrifices. So we do have that super pink moon coming up, Scorpio full moon. And it's a super moon, so you'll really see it if it's not cloudy. And then Remio, the Angel of Visions, is behind that. So, and then Bezaliel. Bezaliel is behind. Which Bezaliel is it? Oh, it's the old Bezaliel. It's the first Bezaliel. Angel of Shadow is behind, at the bottom of the deck behind Aziraphale, Angel of Song. I heard something, it's like, it's not time heals all wounds. maybe like time heals all sacrifices? Or sacrifice heals? It's something about it's like that saying time heals all wounds, but that's not it. But the word sacrifice is in there. And then it felt like a time capsule. So it feels like it's like a baby that you give up for adoption because you can't take care of it. You have it before it's ready. And so you put it into the system hoping that they'll have a better life there than they would have had struggling with you. And so, like, that's the sacrifice. And then, like, the time heals all wounds part is what happens in that time. Like, you're getting your life together, you're bettering yourself. The child is in, let's assume, in a system. Maybe it gets adopted and it finds a loving family. And then when it comes of age, 18, 20, 25, 10, however old, right? It's like, okay, I want to find my birth parents. And because the conditions of the adoption, it was like, or because they don't know who you are, like you just left the baby, like they don't know who the parent is. It's either that or it's like you want to reach out to, like, you get into a better space and you want to reach out to whoever adopted your baby. Like maybe you went to go get the baby back because you got your life together. But then you find out that the baby's been adopted and the agency has a policy where they don't reveal the information either way, right? It's like the agency won't reveal to the adopted parents the birth parents, and the agency won't reveal to the birth parents the adopted parents. And so in the healing of the wounds, then we come to that time capsule energy. And it's like after everything has been healed, then it's the time for some kind of, I guess, reunion. And maybe it's like you inquire about the child while the foster parents are inquiring about the birth parents on behalf of the child. And because both parties individually reach a conclusion, oh, I like this. Because both parties individually reach the same conclusion, that meeting is facilitated. Whereas if it were only one sided, then the agency wouldn't have the ability to legally release that information. And that's what it feels like. It feels like something was sacrificed for it to grow over a period of time as you grow. And now that that growth and that healing is taking place or has taken place, it'll be time to reunite. And look at how Barbiel is holding that. Is that the key of Solomon? Like it's a precious child. Now the sacra or the vision card here, Rimph, the angel of time is right here. I keep looking at Rimph. Aries is sitting behind Rimph. Malahadiel. Malahidai. Malahidael. Um, I don't know if this is a vision that we got though. This vision, it almost feels like a potential timeline. Anyway, so back to, hey Mimi. Oh snap! What? What was I doing last night? Did I sleep last night? I did sleep last night. I don't remember my dream though. Was I just like talking about something? I'm gonna go grab the second beer. I'll be right back. I am consuming alcohol. If that offends, then leave. There's some Jägermeister on top of the fridge. And I don't really want to like turn up, because honestly, I'm not a turn up type of person. I'm not really a turn up type of person either. I drink because it's fun and I like to act silly when I drink. Um, I don't think I've ever been drunk. I don't drink enough to have been. Unless we taking shots of tequila. I'm down some tequila. Oh gosh. I'm sorry, y'all. So, I was pulling the drink out and my arm hit the light and it went off in the refrigerator and the top shelf of my friend's refrigerator, the lights are exposed. And he's like, be careful, don't hit the lights. And so when the lights turned off, I freaked out. But I do love tequila. Still haven't been drunk off of it though. The thing I like most about tequila is that warm sensation that travels down your esophagus, drops in your belly, and then hits the soul. Reminds me I'm alive. I'm just playing. So with this vision, it doesn't necessarily feel like a vision that we've had. It feels more like a vision that not a vision that spirit had. It feels like a potential timeline. It feels like something that wasn't guaranteed, but it was possible. Maybe not even the least or the most likely timeline. Could have honestly been the least likely timeline. Where there was a lot of, it's funny to say it this way, but where there was a lot of faith and hope and trust in you. Like spirit had to trust that you would do what you need to do because you have free will. Just like we trust and believe in spirit, that spirit will come through for us. It feels like that's what the angel of visions was. It feels like spirit was like, or somebody in the realm of spirit was like, can they do it? Like, will they do it? Because the odds are not in their favor. And maybe somebody was like, yeah, the odds are slim, but there is a potential for it to happen. And it reminds me of the thing about the timelines and the energy of that shortcut where we make a choice or decision that we weren't supposed to make. Like historically, there is no precedent for us making this choice. Environmentally, there's nothing that supports us making this decision. It's like everything goes against us. But even still, we choose to go after something anyway. And it's that choice that breaks the matrix, I guess. Because honestly, it's like what's coming to my mind is at the end of the third movie when the architect is talking to the oracle. And he's like, did you know that this would happen? And she was like, no, I had to have faith. Just like they gotta have faith. It's a collaborative effort. It really is. Because we have free will. Um, let me read this. A neutral onlooker. Bags of candy. Oh, girl, look, that sounds shady. Oh. I was like, I don't know. That sounds like me. What was I doing with so much candy in the trunk, girl? Ooh, call the cops. Honestly, there's this situation that happened IRL and it resolved itself, but I don't know if I'm satisfied with the solution. So to clear my conscience, I'm gonna just go ahead and report whatever I need to report. Cause that way, if I don't know, I see something crazy on the news, I'll be like, I did all I can. Excuse me. You got violent at the end. Oh my. Oh, okay. All right. That's less shady. That's a lot less shady. But yeah, we're breaking the matrix because we make the choice that isn't offered. It's not provided. And I would almost say it feels like we're breaking the paradigm, but it's more like shifting it. Oh, we got the Black Kings today, but one of them is a 2 and the other one is a 3. Where feminine and masculine meet, the conception of innocence, nesting, and preparation, inspiring others by bold example, proper magnetism, and clear intention, clearing of the fog. Okay. The Eight of Swords is at the bottom. I was like, here, girl, have some candy. You're not you when you ain't had candy. That's what it feels like. And that's why it honestly feels like that's why Remiel is here. But for where the world is now, like that doesn't surprise me. I feel like we're in a space of such contention and we're in a space where things can really kind of sort of fall either way because of some of the smallest choices, decisions, and because of our viewpoints sort of as a whole. I mean, life is always sort of unpredictable. That's a constant, but we've never been faced with unpredictability, with the unpredictability of life as collectively as we have been lately. And so in this space, I mean, if I was anybody's if I was up top, see that's why I'm not nobody's spirit guide right now. That's probably why I'll never be anybody's spirit guide, honestly, low key. Just let me float in the ether. I'll be a librarian in the Akashic Records. Oh no, because I don't want to do that either. I might just float. I might just travel the cosmos, honestly. Just travel the ether. Um, because it's a little bit of a gamble. Because again, we have free will. We're not locked into doing the things that we came down here to do. Um, And I was watching somebody, they were like, it was like a little light worker quiz. And it was like, do you feel the need to help people? And do you feel this? And do you feel that? If you answer yes to the certain number of these questions, then you might be a light worker. And if you don't, you might still be a light worker. And maybe I'm not a light worker. Well, I already claimed the title path worker anyway, because I don't feel a need to help people. I don't feel an obligation to do anything for anybody. It's a desire that I have. It's my choice. I make the choice to help people. Yeah. I make the choice to assist in whatever way or pursue whatever paths I'm pursuing in my life, but I don't feel a need to do it. I don't feel like I owe anybody anything. And I feel like if I felt a need to do something, I don't know. I don't feel indebted. Hey Siri, define ingratiated.
Ingratiate means bring oneself into favor with someone by flattering or trying to please them.
Oh yeah, I ain't trying to do that to nobody. That's not the word I thought it was. LOL. But it should have been the word that it actually is in my brain. Like I don't feel a need to do any of that. I do everything I do by choice. And it's funny because in my Mayan signature, I think the last line is like I'm guided by the power of free will or something like that. And I remember for me, when I first got a taste of sacred rage in like November 2019, it was that like we're supposed to have free will, but I feel like it's not really free, or we're supposed to have choice, but I feel like it's not really a choice if it's so much easier and apparently so much more rewarding to be bad or to do bad, to slight people, to cheat people out of this, to take advantage of people and to use people. Like it's not choice if one of the choices or options is being pushed so heavily on us. It's not free. Like you still have the ability to make whatever choice you want to make, sure. But let's not call it free choice if one is so much more lucrative than the other. And I was like, this system is effed up. And I got mad, but I was like, I get over it. Can't do anything now, right? Or can we? Let's see. I want to read it. Here it is. Yeah, I am guided by the power of free will. So it's all will for me. I don't feel a need to do anything. But anyway, so to Aziraphale, Angel of Song, at the bottom of the deck, which is why I was like, oh my gosh, it's so funny. So I was like, well, can I get a sign? Like, hello? And Spirit was like, yeah, girl, you can get a sign. You can get 5 signs. You can get 10 signs. Like, we can get these signs out the wazoo. And I was like, okay, well, shoot, I'll take a sign. So I was about to shower. I showered before I did this. And I didn't bring my phone into the bathroom, so I couldn't connect it to the Bluetooth. And I was like, I want to play some music. But my phone isn't connected. I hope that I can get some music. So I was just like, okay, Google, play some music. And Google was like, okay, playing some music from Spotify. I was like, word, girl, bet. And then the first song that came on, I'm like, what is this? I'm like, really, what is this? Like, for real, this is an actual song on Spotify. It was the theme song for a TV show that is really popular. It's insanely popular, but I've never seen it because I've never really been interested in it, honestly. But I was listening to the words and I was like, oh, is this that sign I asked for? Is this how signs work? Because usually I go off of frequency and vibrations, right? It's like if I want to do something, then I do it. And if it vibes with me, I'm like, okay. If I'm getting like good vibratory feedback, I keep doing it. If I get not so great vibratory feedback, sometimes I just keep doing it. um, but I never really ask for signs. I feel like I don't really need to. A lot of times, if I'm in a space of wondering or wandering, something will come up and it'll hit, it'll resonate, it'll vibe. I'm like, okay, that's what I'm supposed to do. Um, I also feel like I am in kind of sort of in a heavy element of choice right now. Like I know I could be successful in anything I do because I'm just that great, honestly. I'm just that awesome. I'm just that type of person. But I want it to be something that like is fulfilling, right? I'm so glad I hydrated before this. Um And so that's why it was funny that Aziraphale was at the bottom of the deck, the Angel of Song, because I was talking about how I asked for a sign and it came through like 3 songs. I was like, okay. And it was music that I like on my Spotify, it would have never popped up. And I almost turned it off. I was almost like, I don't want to listen to this. And I was like, oh, wait, this might be my sign. Oh my gosh, I'm watching a Gretzko, the 3rd season, and she's learning how to play guitar. And Aziraphale is playing this stringed instrument that might be whatever it is. It look broke to me, but you do your thing, Aziraphale. So yeah, that's what this time heals all wounds sacrifice time capsule thing is feeling like up here between Azazel, Barbiel, and Remiel. Between Aziraphale and Bezaliel, Angel of Song and Angel of Shadows. Honestly, it's giving me a little bit of a bard energy. It's instead of song literally, let's just say like voice or speech, right? And how we can either sort of bolster ourselves or try to curse our enemies through the power of the voice. It's a bard, right? That's what bards do. No, I'm not encouraging, obviously, I'm obviously not encouraging anyone to invest any energy into people that you don't like. That's one thing that I kind of sort of don't understand a little bit. It's like, I don't even like you. Like, why would I spend my time on you? I got better things that I could be doing that I'm not doing, that I'm procrastinating. Like, I'd rather go do something that I should be doing anyway. Um, no, I did not say Ocarina of Time. I didn't say Zelda. Um, but I said Bard, and there's an ocarina in the Ocarina of Time that has the power to control like the weather, time, a whole bunch of stuff. It can transport you places, the power of music. Um, But it's sort of that ability. And I think the Aziraphale here is a lot less intimidating than the entry in the Oracle of the Emanations. Yeah, the ecstasies above, with thy burning measure suit, thy grief, thy joy, thy hate, thy love, with the fervor of thy lute. It's a lute! It's a lute! Oh my gosh. I should have guessed lute. I honestly should have guessed lute. Yeah. I was like, I'm pretty sure I didn't say Ocarina of Time. But song can do that. Words can do that. And maybe with Bezalel here, it's like we're not fully utilizing it in the capacity that we honestly, with the angel of song and the angel of shadow, it's a little bit of a Luciferian energy. Because wasn't Lucifer in charge of like the choir or something like that? Lucifer was associated with music and he was like one of the first angels that fell. And it's so weird that I was thinking about Lucifer earlier today, maybe because I feel like there's a difference between like Lucifer, the devil, and Satan. And I was like, what if like Lucifer was convinced by, I'll just say the dark? What if Lucifer was convinced by the dark, like the dark wormed its way into Lucifer's brain that caused Lucifer to turn against God? Or not to turn against God, but to be like, humanity ain't even all that. They ain't worth your love. You should turn your back on them. And God was like, no, ew, why would I do that? Girl, you're supposed to be an angel, Lucifer. Like, hello? If you can't get right, get out. And Lucifer was like, all right, bet. Bye. And then he took on the embodiment, the personification of that energy, but it's like the energy preceded him. It's almost like, and I don't want to give any spoilers, but in an anime, there is a bad guy, and there's like this legendary bad guy, and there's a guy who's taken in by the bad guy, who is convinced that the world is this terrible place and it's so dark. Fall into my plans, and he did that. He ended up taking on his name. So when he took on his name, everybody thought that he was the bad guy. But then you find out that the real bad guy is a different person. And then you find out that the bad guy that we thought was the bad guy was being used by the real bad guy, but the real bad guy was being used by somebody else. And it's like, what? Everybody using everybody. See, this is why I don't mess with darkness. This is why I just stay with the light, because I would say people don't do that, but some people that claim light kind of do stuff like that. We're all human, I guess, anyway. It's almost giving me that sort of energy here. Because it's the angel of song and the angel of shadow. But Lucifer was supposed to be associated with the light, right? It's like the morning star or something like that. Some kind of star in the sky. I don't really know. I read it in whatever tarot book. And then with Renth here, or Renth, yeah. With Renth, the angel of time here, and the angel of Aries, Malahidiel, it's like only time will tell if they'll begin or not. Only time will tell if they start or not. It's not something that, it's like there is so much to overcome in this space. There's so much to overcome before you even reach the things that you need to overcome in this space to get to the place that you actually need to be. That this angel of vision like prophesied whenever they asked for that prophecy. It's like there are so many moving pieces. There are so many choices and decisions that have to be made. It's honestly a gamble. And spirit is the gambling kind. Some spirit more than other spirit, especially those spirits who believe in love and, the power of humanity and things like that. And they're like, oh, still believing in humanity after all of the atrocities that they've been committing down there. Oh, snap. Both of the Jokers came out together again in reverse. But the Seven of Diamonds came out upright. The seven of diamonds is a well-crafted illusion, a contaminant blowing in the breeze, searching for an open eye. This reminds me, what's at the bottom? Six of spades, an internal truth burning to be seen, the yin side of masculinity, a thrusty yet elegant dance was at the bottom of the deck in reverse. This reminds me of a card. I don't know which card it was that I came across, or the message in the reading lately. It was like, if your wisdom has not led you to a breakthrough or to whatever, then cast it aside. It's not divine. And the reader said that they didn't agree with the message, but I do. It's like, for all we know, for all that we believe, for all that we've been conditioned to, for all of the filters that we put on our third eye when we open it, it's like, if none of that actually leads you to a breakthrough, if none of that leads you to healing, if none of that leads you to light, then it's probably not the divine. It probably isn't, because the divine should naturally lead you to all of that, should naturally lead you to everything that will make you better and put you in better and have you in a space to attract and interact better. And if you're not getting that, then you miss something. And I feel like that's what this seven of diamonds in reverse with both of these jokers, are the seven of diamonds upright, oops, with that well crafted illusion. And both of these jokers in reverse means. It's like, if it's not doing anything for you, it's probably Hierophant mumbo jumbo. That means little to nothing. Yeah. And honestly, it's like, when we hold fast to it, it keeps us from really learning or experiencing the truth. Wow, that just killed all of the little bit of a buzz that I would have had. Who is this? Oh, I'm not. Oh, okay. Make some noise, card. Yes, a card came out face down. Oh, we got Remiel with this one again. This was the angel that was struggling to get off the ground. Something in the technique, something in the form isn't right. That's probably why you dropped a lot of research, because it was like, I'm not getting anywhere next. I mean, honestly, I personally feel like a lot of it isn't meant. It's not that it's not meant to get you started. It's not that it's not meant to get you thinking. But I don't think any of it is necessarily a solution, because if it were an actual solution, then I feel like something would be different. But at the end of the day, it's my personal belief, and we're all free to believe whatever we want to believe. Um, but at the end of the day, it's like, nobody can tell you or teach you. You can't read up on how to form a personal relationship with anybody, right? It's just like, if you're talking to a person, right? It's almost like, well, no matter how much you read or how much information you gather, none of that actually establishes a relationship. Now, you can be like, oh, we have common interests, so like, maybe I can play on the common interests, or you could just lie. Be like, oh, I saw that you like this. Oh my gosh, I love it too, even though you don't. Um, but none of that actually goes towards building an actual relationship. And I feel like that's what is for all of us to do. And a lot of people have been manifesting an age of Aquarius, where we're all in this Christ consciousness. And it's like, okay, everybody want to claim that, we're going to be in Christ consciousness, but how many people are actually out there elevating their consciousness to a Christ-like state? From what I've seen a long time ago. Again, I experienced everything I needed to experience in the way that I needed to experience it for me to finally begin speaking. Because if I heard other people saying what I thought should be said, then I would have never spoken. Because I would have been like, oh, somebody else is talking about it. But again, it's like this macrocosmic and microcosmic disconnect. And for me, it's like, oh yeah, like you're some light worker from like the Pleiadians, and you came to this backwoods planet to bring your love and your light. But for the people actually on this planet suffering, you prefer to turn a blind eye and pretend like everything is okay, even when the world is showing you how things are very much so not okay. Okay, well, I don't know. Anyway, I mean, if that's somebody's journey, then that's their journey, I guess. It takes all kinds of people to make something work, right? Maybe there's people for people who are already there, or maybe there's people for people who live in that magical world where nothing happens, where they just shut everything out. I don't know. In my mind, I just read it as a disconnect. And that's one of the things that, like, for me, I don't necessarily look for it, but I feel like oftentimes I can, like, things that don't necessarily connect stick out to me. And it's like, wait, you're saying one thing, but you're doing something different. Like, that don't make sense. And I'm not going to ask you to make this make sense because I know that you're already making it make sense to yourself. And it's a delusion that I don't feel like buying into, honestly. But anyway, the fall was seen, but the rise will also be seen. That's what Renf is saying with this. And a lot of it is in the root. The only color we really have here on this angel is red. You can say, oh, but there's blue. Well, the blue is outside of the angel. Oh, but there's a star. That ain't a star. That's part of her shade. It's in the root. It comes from within. It's so not. You just got a headache listening to all the families being displaced by people jumping to sell their homes to get rich quick. Your cousin is in this predicament, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I know. I've recently heard something about that. Of people, like, he was like, it may be a good idea to sell a home to make some money. And I'm like, yeah, like there are a lot of things that you can do to make money, but I don't know. Making money is nice, but it's not really a priority for me. Like, I prioritize happiness and fulfillment. And I'm looking at jobs, I'm looking for work, and I'm talking to my Libra friend here. And he's like, first, you got to take care of yourself. First, you got to take care of yourself, and then you can think about other people. And I'm like, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not. That's not who I am as a person. And if it means that I work or I'll search a little longer, then that's fine. Shatiel, Angel of Silence. Ooh. We got these three at the bottom of the deck. The Angel of Silence, the Angel of Aries, and the Angel of Time. That feels like a silent blossoming. Listening to how they have to tell people, how they have to let people interrupt their livelihood and show them around. Oh. Told them that they were the eighth family. Girl, imagine just being like, yeah, I've already done this to like 8 other families. So, I mean, I guess at least it's not just you. I don't know. So there is a silent rumbling here. And the top of the deck is, again, it's Azazel. I didn't even read Azazel the first time. Azazel, Angel of Sacrifice. Ooh, with Barkiel. Azazel and Barkiel, Angel of Pisces with the Angel of Sacrifice this time. Tonight we pour the water from our bowls, the warmth from our hearts, and the breath from our flock. We bring an end to these necessities, not for their destruction, but in their honor. For in their absence, we can truly see their glory. When harm comes to the people, the relationships and things in our lives, we have to take time to help repair them. It's not easy, but bringing those pieces back together is what we have to be to live a good life. In those moments, we are close to Barkiel. Deep down, everyone has a nurturing aspect. Choosing to cultivate it helps bring us closer to our truer selves. Honestly, on the middest of keys, this feels like the plight of the age of Pisces was seen. It was seen. And it takes me back to this energy. The fall was seen, but the rise is also seen. Because the angel of Pisces with this angel of sacrifice, it's almost like there had to be so much division in the world. Like the world had to reach the state where it got so chaotic that for any world to survive, certain things would have to be done. So it's almost like it doesn't matter how unlikely it is for a timeline to succeed, because if the world exists in any space, then certain things had to be done. And so it's like the divine allowed for things to get as bad as they got. But as mankind, oh gosh, as mankind learns to come together, it's like that makes mankind more divine. It's this ascension process, right? It's literally the age of Aquarius that everybody was talking about. It puts us all closer and closer and closer to that space of Christ consciousness, and closer and closer and closer to the divine. And it's something that wouldn't have been as necessary, or there wouldn't be as much pressure to elevate into that space if things weren't falling apart all over, honestly. And that's what I get. Honestly, that's what I get from the angel of sacrifice and the angel of Pisces. Because it says, we bring an end to these necessities, not for their destruction, but in their honor. For in their absence, we can truly see their glory. And the angel of Pisces is like when harm comes to the people and the relationships and the things in our life, like we have to repair them. We have to ascend to a certain state in which we can begin to heal. It's almost like to heal others, but through the space of healing self. And what is this card that came out face down? It's the 10 of diamonds. Of course, it's the 10 of diamonds. She pops up every time, girl. A blistering heat and freezing cold that lies at the heart of creation. The truth of the heart made plain, and beginnings. Beginnings. Bottom of the deck is the Ace of Hearts. The energy that we send out is the energy that we receive. The future is born in the heart. The truth of the heart made plain. The future is born in the heart, and beginnings. I feel like, honestly, it was at some point last year. I don't remember where it was or when it was. It might have been when I got these cards, honestly, and maybe I saw that card. But I remember there was an energy of like, no, it wasn't. There was an energy that was like, when it comes to manifestation or whatever, when it comes to our reality, we're going to be shifting to this point where it's going to be more and more and more of a reflection of the truth of our heart. So it's beyond what you say. It's beyond the persona that you play and the mask that you wear and the facades and the charades. It's beyond like the upper majority of your heart. It's at your core, what you really believe and how you really feel. That is going to be what makes your reality. Maybe it's always been like that. But that's why it's like sometimes we can do all the affirmations, we can do all the work, we can get all the information, but nothing changes. And it's like, well, nothing has changed because you haven't changed. If you had changed, then things would begin changing. Oh, Asbiel. Who is this? Oh, Turiel, Asbiel, and Tamiel came out. With Cambiel, Angel of Aquarius at the bottom, and Hanael, Angel of Capricorn at the top. Look at Angel of Capricorn rocking that halo in the horns. This is weird though. Because if the Angel of Capricorn were a hammer, then it's like it would be trying to pry that halo off of something. Because like when you want to pull up a nail, that's how you pull up a nail. With that side of the hammer. There's some Piscean energy in here too. A little bit. Because of the fish. And Hanael is holding the actual sea goat. So maybe instead of prying the halo up, it's keeping it in place. Would that make sense? Because it was about the eclipse. It was a lunar eclipse in Capricorn at the beginning of 2020. And that was about the time that more and more people were like going like, has spirit gone quiet for anybody? It's like spirit has gone quiet all of a sudden. That's when that may be about the time when a lot of readers were sort of like getting off of YouTube or doing whatever, right? They had their awakenings and they were like, at the top of the year I had awakening and tarot is like, tarot ain't it no more. I'm back with Jesus or Yahweh, whatever they call him, right? Not to be dismissive, but that was the story. I'm in my Taurus moon right now, so I guess I'm a little dry. But this is how everything was put on pause in a way. Almost because it was like, so we're gonna it's like when you have to drain a system. And so it's like, we're gonna hold the new stuff and we're gonna empty the tank. So we're gonna let everything pour out. We're not gonna put anything new in. Everything is just gonna pour out. Things are gonna play out. And that's what 2020 was for a lot of people. We structured our lives in a certain way. We put ourselves in a certain position, either purposefully or not. And then we had to sit in it. Things had to play out. Things had to ride out. It feels like things are being held back. And then the angel of Aquarius is at the bottom of the deck. I mean, honestly, that's the growth that happened in this time. So when spirit went quiet, when the world stopped making sense, when everything got dark, it was the opportunity for us to really come into that Christ consciousness. It was an opportunity for us to choose light, even when the light wasn't extremely prevalent. It was a time for, in some ways, a test of faith. And a lot of people's faith wavered, and that's okay. We all have our own journey. But I remember, oh, look, they both have a halo. It's almost like Capricorn held its halo back so we could discover our own. It's a space that we grew into, we ascended into. Work. Under Capricorn is the angel of deception. And then the angel of time is behind the angel of deception. While Samyaza created the flax of truth, and Samyaza is the angel of pride, created the flax of truth, Satariel would spin it into thread and weave it into the very reality around him. He was entrancing. The patterns of his wings would flex and flow with his impersonations, making his performances irresistible to watch. When he was stabbed through the heart, no one had any idea what had really happened. His death was met with applause for its realism. And maybe that's what both of these are. It's like, we were creating these foundations, and it takes me back to that, like, if all of your wisdom, if all of your knowledge doesn't lead you to something that is more divine, then it is not serving you. It's not something worth holding on to. Because that's what this is. When everything stopped, if everything continued. And it's almost like Satariel's death would not have been so easy to misunderstand if it wasn't scripted. This is like we're wearing the facade, we're doing something, and then either it follows through or it doesn't. There's an aspect of a performance here. And it's like, don't be surprised when people actually buy into the performance. Like, or don't be surprised if Because it's like you can fool man, but you can't fool the divine. I don't know. Sounds like a lot for people to learn. But, this is the age of Aquarius that y'all were manifesting, so have fun. The cards that came out, I think this one, how did these come out? This one turned over. These fell out? I don't remember. I've been talking too much. Asbiel and Turiel, Angel of Ruin and Angel of the Mountain came out. And then Tamiel was in reverse, or was face down. So the name was revealed. And that's the Angel of the Unseen that we've been seeing. The great sage Asbiel was a beloved storyteller. Gifts were brought to him regularly from those who wished to hear him speak, a tradition he loved. His dictation started at dawn each day. The constant stream of tokens he was presented meant he spent his day speaking almost without end. When war came, he held out hope for peace. The first watcher of the East, the way Turiel carried his massive stature was a matter of public spectacle. His feats of strength were sometimes put to good use, but often bled into showmanship. The praise people showered him with seemed to sustain the angel almost as much as food and water. So here is something that we do for praise. And then here is the angel of deception. It's like both of these sort of put on a spectacle, both of them put on a performance, and the people go wild for it. But at the end of the day, when it matters, it's empty. It's literally like, congratulations, like you played yourself. You played yourself. The only person you're playing is yourself. Because you ain't playing spirit. Tamiel moved through his life with such ease that it took a long time before anyone realized he was blind. To know that one of them was deficient in some way was unsettling in a way that was hard to put into words. The attendance at Tamiel's rituals diminished as people's unease with him increased. It was clear that his insight was still valuable, but it was difficult to watch him wield his ceremonial dagger with the knowledge that he didn't know where it was going. This, honestly, as I was reading this, what this reminds me of, and it goes back into this angel of deception and the showmanship and the angel of the mountain. Like, this is all the people who were like talking about shadow work and doing stuff like that. But when it came time to do actual shadow work, it's like, oof, well, the performance now speaks for itself. Now that it's not staged, now that you don't have like all of your little hidden trap doors and smoke and mirrors and things like that, now that you're being put on the spot to actually do the things that you claim that you're doing, because spirit is putting everything on hold and the angel of ruin is standing watch, waiting until the war is over, waiting until this period of trial is over before he comes back and starts sharing his gift again, then it's like everything begins falling apart. And then it just goes to show you that it wasn't all that in the first place. But again, we're human, right? So it's not necessarily that. But again, that's one of the cards that came out. Because the Angel of Greed, I still don't remember his name, but it referenced back to that reading not too long ago. And one of the things that came out was like the demon who put on the whole fanfare, who put on the whole show, and it was like, beware of appearances. Oh, this is too many. We got Remiel, and we got a different angel of visions. The shepherd of good graces, a shining light in the distance calling us forward into the future. The greener pastures beyond the next hill are hard to see. Sometimes we need reassurance that things will get better. Something is coming and is beautiful. Okay, I'm gonna end with these. To not get too hot, I guess. So after that, we have Duma, Angel of Dreams. I looked into the sky and saw a truth written in quiet motion. The turning wheel rises, and as it falls, it shows us what we've seen. A vision from beyond, no different than a vision within. And then here's the Angel of Visions. That's like the Angel of Vision says that better times are coming. You can't see the green grass in the distance, but be assured it's there. But then, literally right after that, we have the Angel of Dreams saying that the vision outside is no different than the vision within. And so if you're not putting yourself internally in a space of better times are coming, things are going to work in your favor. It doesn't matter how many readings you watch, how many pick a cards you view, how much you meditate or do whatever you do. If that change isn't on the inside, it's not going to be reflected externally to you. All of the spiritual practice, all of the ceremonial ritual stuff that makes us feel good, maybe very placebo. If the actual substance isn't there, it's like this cord or this bridge that you're building out into the universe. If you're not actually doing the work to lay the foundation to build that road, how is it going to find you? It's not. Armoros, angel of undoing. Armoros removed the monuments that bound their will to men. After seeing Baracchio fall, they no longer wanted to take the risk. After the disarmament, the Watchers imposed a curfew restricting anyone other than their brethren and offspring from moving freely after dark. The punishment for violating this law was so severe that few attempted it. Even as their grip on control tightened, their insecurity grew. I mean, honestly, I feel like 2020 was kind of a whole year, astrological year 2020 especially, was a whole year of curfew. But why were we put on curfew? Probably to make whatever internal changes so that we can come into the energy of these grander external changes. After that, it's Penamue. Oh, I remember Penamue, angel of the written word. What hath been wrought across the fiery hilltop? These sculptures of men whose names the angels forgot. So I was trying to be nice. I saw the angel of who is this? Angel of visions and the angel of dreams. I was like, oh, this is about to be nice. But here we have a card of the Watchers putting men on curfew. Here we have a card of all of the men who the angels forgot. I mean, when the dark came, when things got dark, where was your light? Where was your light for the angels to identify you? Where was your light for spirit to recognize you or to know? If your light was nowhere to be seen, then how are they supposed to find you? If you didn't put in the work to building that foundation, to building those bridges and roads and setting up the infrastructure, then how is spirit supposed to get anything to you? These sculptures of men whose names the angels forgot. And then Azazel, angel of sacrifices, but this is a different Azazel than the one we had before. The first watcher of the north, Azazel taught mankind how to forge weapons and tutored them in respecting this power. Throughout those first years, he never wavered in his dedication to enriching the lives of mankind. In ways large and small, he sought to raise them up. Despite his efforts, Azazel was the first to be blamed when the catastrophe began. With mankind's trust broken, every bit of goodwill he had built was traded for an equal amount of resentment. Phanuel, angel of truth. This most patient attendant will wait for your arrival. Phanuel has been here long before you arrive, standing in the gateway to the throne. You may not have seen it, you may not have heard it, but Phanuel waited there for you to wrap you in its warm cloak. Seek it and you shall find it. Honestly, for me, this is the light that we were supposed to hold in that time of darkness. And it's like Phanuel was waiting. Like, you may not have seen it or felt it. You may have thought that spirit had forgotten about you or abandoned you or whatever. And so you were doing whatever you were doing, which is your divine right to do. You have free will, you have free choice. But it's like Phanuel was waiting for you to show up with that light. Like, Phanuel was the one that's like, oh, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. See, this is when they turn the game around. See, it's about to get serious now. Oh, they're not doing anything. But like, it ain't over yet. Like, they still got time. Like, they'll do it. And maybe some people did. Honestly, people did. Some people did, some people didn't. And we're all human. We have the ability to make our will. Like, we have free will, we have our choices, but we also have to abide by the consequence. And one of the things that's super American is how we all have these freedoms. We have these freedoms and we have these rights, but what we don't like is consequence. You got the freedom of speech. Yeah, you can say whatever you want legally, But that doesn't mean that I have to like you or sit here and listen to it. You have the freedom to say it and not be arrested for saying it, depending, right? But that doesn't mean that it doesn't come without consequence. Just because you have the right to do something doesn't mean you should. But if you want to, it's your choice. But you'll also reap the consequence. Semyaza, angel of pride. Oh my gosh, who talked about Semyaza? It was the angel of undoing. It was Armoros. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. He was talking about Barakiel with the lightning. His was too short. Was it Azazel? No. So it had to be this one, Duma. No. Was it the first one? It was the first one. No, it wasn't, girl. Who was talking about Semyaza? Who was talking about Semyaza? Maybe I already put him back. Oh, well. Here's Semyaza, angel of pride. All hail, firstborn, giver of names, father of giants, protector of the house of man. Long shall be his days. Well, we already saw that the trust of man was broken in Azazel. So, and we already know that after Barakiel proved that the Watchers were not complete in wisdom or immortality, Azazel didn't know that, all of the hard work that he put into building mankind would get him an equal amount of scorn as it did respect back in the day. I don't know how long this angel of pride was proud of being the protector of the house of man, especially seeing the condition of man now. And then Bezaliel, angel of shadow. Bezaliel's shadow failed to stick to the ground. Instead, it hung in the air like a specter, a twisted impersonator carrying a ghastly sense of unlife as it floated nearby. In the right light, it was hard to tell the two of them apart. His blank, expressionless face was always half hidden by a hood. No one could ever know for sure if they were looking at the real angel or his shadow. It was just easier to avert your eyes. He would walk through your dreams at night, watching from a distance and saying nothing. I got to go to the bathroom, but we got Sariel, angel of the waning moon, and Ananiel, angel of storms at the bottom. So that's going to be after the Scorpio, potentially. It's a waning moon, but after the Scorpio full moon going into the new moon in Taurus. And the nodes are about to shift into Taurus and Scorpio too. Next year. Be right back. All right, I'm back. See, this is why I started out by drinking that beer. I'm drinking on behalf of all y'all spirit guides and angels and guardians and ancestors who really thought that y'all was going to do it, but oof. I mean, the good thing is you still have time, right? As long as the world is still turning, as long as you draw a breath, you still have time. That's also the beautiful thing about being human. But, consequences are also still a thing. So, Sariel, angel of the waning moon, Saphlatis, angel of dust behind her. Sariel, angel of the waning moon. As the earth tugs on the moon tugs back on the earth. For each force, another will always exist in perfect opposition. The lives of men and angels are similar. Though the power of one may be greater than the other, their existence reflects each other. Bottom of the deck. As the sun began to set, the boats turned their back towards the shore. All the while, Ananias pleaded with them to stay. Ignoring him, the fishermen held to their course. Angered, the angel summoned the waves to do what his words could not. He wrenched their boats from their destination and pulled them until the land was lost to the horizon. In life, these first seafarers had been his acolytes. In death, they were their own men. I like that because it's like in life, it's almost like that energy of like, it's the facade, it's the charade, it's like all of that. It may be on the table now, but it's that energy of like in life, like they said, like, oh, Ananias is so great. Like, we'll always listen to you, Ananias. But as soon as Ananias told them to do something that I guess they didn't want to do, they stopped being his. In life, these first seafarers had been his acolytes. In death, they were their own men because he gave them the warning. He told them that the storm was coming. What, Mayan year 2020 into 2021? It's the blue lunar storm. Here's the angel of storms. Angel of storms told you that the storm was coming, but you wanted to find out for yourself how bad it would really be. And in doing that, it's like you cut all ties with him. If you watched, it's not that the divine washes its hands of you, but in that space of free will, if you willingly choose something, your choice is honored and you'll reap the consequences. Consequence is one of the greatest gifts to man, honestly. Without consequence, we would never learn. And with consequence, we're free to experience blessing because they're rewarded. Consequence isn't always bad. Sometimes a consequence is a reward. Last one, Gadriel. Oh, snap, I've never gotten you before. With Duma, Angel of Dreams at the top. And Barakiel, Angel of Lightning behind Duma. Gadriel was a giant even among his own kind. His spear stood as a symbol of assured destruction for anything that opposed the will of the Watchers. Despite his threatening stature, he was a peaceful soul. Most days, he could be found sitting outside camp with his eyes upon the horizon. Oh my gosh. I'm pulling this one. I'm reading it too because that one talks about the horizon. Most days, he could be found sitting outside camp with his eyes upon the horizon, a surreal portrait, serenity carved in alabaster. Once asked what he was thinking about, the angel lifted his spear and pointed up to the sky, the tines framing the North Star. Is the North Star Lucifer? What star was Lucifer? Was Lucifer? No. Maybe Lucifer was like the morning star or something like that. Maybe Lucifer means morning star or something like that. He thinking about his buddy who fell. He was like, wow. I remember when he was cool, but Lucifer was always gullible. That's the power of music. Music has the power to just pull you into it and get you to feel whatever the lyrics are talking about or whatever the rhythms are talking about. Morning Star, okay. Whatever the lyrics and the music is talking about, maybe that's the gullibility of Lucifer. He just fell into the beat. He was a slave to the rhythm, and then he fell. And then people fell with him. Yeah, no. This doesn't talk about the horizon. I'll read it anyway. I want to read that one again. Gadriel was a giant, even among his own kind. His spear stood as a symbol of assured destruction for anything that opposed the will of the Watchers. Despite his threatening stature, he was a peaceful soul. Most days, he could be found sitting outside camp with his eyes upon the horizon, a surreal portrait, serenity carved in alabaster. Once asked what he was thinking about, the angel lifted his spear and pointed it up to the sky, the tines framing the North Star. I looked into the sky. It's a natural transition. I like this. I looked into the sky and saw a truth written in quiet motion. The turning wheel rises, and as it falls, it shows us what we've seen. A vision from beyond, no different than a vision from within. Honestly, that one's to take it as you resonate. Ooh, who is this? Muriel, Angel of Cancer, needed to be seen apparently, and Ananiel, Angel of Storms, wanted to stand back. So I'll read these two together. The face we show on the outside and who we are inside is always different. That shell we build over our hearts exists to guard us against the barbs of the world. As we grow, that shell hardens. But the need to let others past it becomes equally as valuable. The essence of this sign is not only a shield that holds harm at bay, but it is also the warmth that brings life and healing into our lives. Muriel is the protector of our deepest truths and the caregiver of our innermost selves. I'm actually not going to read Ananiel again, partially because I just read it, also partially because this is the spear and the shield. I don't know, just take it in. I don't know what this means. I don't know what it means for him to look at the North Star. I love that the angel of war is peaceful, but the god of war isn't. And that Bezalel card, I had to go to the bathroom so I forgot to talk about it. But the Bezalel card in this context, more so than when it came out before, it reminds me of a dream I had last year. Well, this whole reading, yeah, it reminds me of a dream I had last year. I was at this spiritual convention or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, at first I didn't know. I was just hanging out with some people. And then they said it was my birthday and they had a little piece of cake and everybody got like candy or some kind of sweet, some kind of dessert. Speaking of candy. Um, and then the host or the special speaker of the hour came out. And I was like, oh snap. So that's what this is. But the vibe I got from that person, I was like, oh no, something here ain't right. So I'm gonna try to get out. I'm gonna try to get out, but make it as inconspicuous as I can. So I was like, I'm gonna get some fresh air. And I was like, I ain't going back in there, girl. I'm gone. And then I talked about this dream before. I was just gonna like walk away or run away. And I saw my dad coming, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" He was like, "Oh, I came because it's your birthday or whatever." And I was like, "Okay, well, where did you park? Because we need to GTFO. I don't know what's going on in there, but something ain't right." And then he was like, and then people started running out of the building. And again, like I'm talking to my dad, I'm trying to go, but in the dream, I could see them coming out. And then he was like, "Where are their shadows?" There were a bunch of people running out and they didn't have shadows. And I didn't have the time to talk to them. At this point, I'm definitely trying to GTFO. But I saw one of my friends and they all got into this pool, like some kind of new baptism or something. They all got into this pool and then their shadows were gone. And they were all like, oh my gosh, yeah, like I feel so light. I feel so free. Oh my gosh. Um, And like that's what I saw. And so then I see a whole bunch of shadows just coming out of the building. And the shadow started attaching to people who abandoned theirs. And I still had my own shadow. So I was good. Like they weren't going to attach to me, but also I was still trying to GTFO. And it's funny that I'm talking about this dream today after I talked about the other dream I had yesterday where I wasn't allowed to reach the mountain and split timelines because spirit is like, no, boy, you down there. You down there. So you better get on mission or do something. Shoot. And I was like, man, spirit, I am down here. um, But in that dream, I was trying to get away. I was like, Dad, like, where's your car? Let's go. I was like, they made that choice. Something in there was off. But they really thought they had it until she busted out them real shadows. Now the shadows that flew out, the shadows that were coming out of that building, chasing, hunting down people, they were darker than the shadows that they had themselves. And that's why I was like, oof, I'm really glad I still got my shadow. And the Bezaliel, like the shadow that detached from him and it floated like a lifeless specter. It reminded me of that dream. And so he had parked in a parking garage and then he ended up going missing. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so this is interesting. So I'm making my way, like trying to find my dad, trying to find the car, trying to just leave. And I noticed that there were kids in cages. And there were like some shadowy creatures like holding them hostage. They were basically the wardens. The kids in cages were basically jails. It was basically Persona 5 Strikers before like a year and a half to 2 years before the game even came out, or before I played the game. And I used the belt to I just cracked the belt at the shadows and then they disappeared. And I ended up freeing all the kids. Now, in the dream, I ended up freeing all the kids because I was trying to GTFO. Like when I saw them, I was like, okay, I got to do something. I'm not just going to leave them in these cages. But that wasn't my first priority. My first priority was leaving. And then my priorities changed. So I ended up taking out enough wardens and I freed enough kids. And then that's when Spirit stepped in and they were like, oh, congratulations. And girl, I was just trying to leave. And in the dream, they ended up giving me responsibility. And I remember what was so weird about that dream was they gave me a position. And then after I was granted that position, they were like, okay, now come into this room. We're going to hold a meeting. And I was like, I was still trying to leave, but I was like, okay, because I guess the threat is over. And that's when people started coming in. And it's like the dark side was on the light and the light side was on the dark. They had switched sides. The management of light was being taken care of by somebody dark. And the management of dark was being taken care of by somebody light. And in your dream, I was just some neutral third party. I wasn't on either team or I wasn't on either side. And I was not under, and then I was it was me by myself. I'm like, what am I supposed to do by myself? Hello? But yeah, that was interesting. It was what was light was actually dark and what was dark was actually light, which is why whatever those cards came out, whatever is internal within you should be strong enough that you can actually discern. But hey, it is what it is. Making my way downtown, walking fast. Yeah, I'm girl, I was really I was after I saw that, I was yeah, see, that's why I had a bad vibe. Cause she was smiling, but something about her was just creepy. And I remember it was wintertime. Cause I remember it being cold or snow outside when I first got outside. And I was I need to go. I was I need to go, Daddy, get me out of here. And then he ended up missing. I'm where did you go? I told you to get the car so we could leave. Oh. See, this is an interesting card to come out after everything. It's the Jack of Clubs, which is the child of souls, right? The child of souls, it could be an immature soul, and I think we're getting incarnation experience, we're getting in life experience, and then we're also getting soul level experience. Excuse me, our souls are also growing and evolving and changing because of the choices and decisions that we make in this lifetime, especially in this space. That's why the child is here. Hey, Zelda, how you doing? Did I ask you how you were doing today, Mimi? I don't think I did. I think I forgot. Oh, snap. You're at work and your anxiety is horrible. Well, I hope that you feel less anxious. Is there anything that you can do to make it better? And I'm doing pretty good. The external invited to the internal invited to the external, inner secret revealed, cognition illuminated. This is going back to, I feel like it's going back to what I was saying earlier. Whatever is your actual truth, whatever lies at the core of your heart, what you actually whatever is in your root is going to be made external to you. So if that internal healing ain't been on point enough to when your insides start leaking out. Like if it's shadow that comes out, that shadow, that's truth illuminated. Like that's yours. Inner truth, what is it? Inner truth revealed, cognition illuminated. The way you see, think, feel, and believe illuminated. Your inner truth revealed, and it's coming from you. Bottom of the deck is the King of Hearts. A decision that once made cannot be rescinded. The consequences are final. What is it? It's reminding me of, was it Judge Mathis or Judge Judy? It's like the something is something. The decisions are final. This is Judge whoever. You don't know, you're just acting weird. Being in here might help, friend. Thank you. No problem. I mean, I'm only going to be on for, I mean, I was honestly about to leave, but you can watch the replay. I hope that helps. A decision that once made cannot be rescinded. A wise king who settles an impossible dispute and operating in divine order. I feel like it was all of these things. And see, the thing about this impossible dispute, it's honestly what sticks out the most is this impossible dispute and operating in divine order. Because it's like, if you're suddenly thrust into the darkness, it's understandable if you like flail around a little, or if you don't know what you're doing, and if you whatever you do, it's understandable. It's human. You're human. We're all human. I'm human. But it's the wise king who can navigate even that situation. And this is the King of Hearts. This is a king that's connected to that element, truly connected, and not just feigning or faking a connection or playing at a connection, right? This is what I was talking about earlier when it's like it goes beyond information and ceremony and ritual. It's about forming an actual connection. And that's what really gets you to operate more and more and more in that divine order. But again, it's the internal invited to the external. I did, Zelda. Thank you. I thought I said thank you yesterday, but I guess I didn't. Thank you. All right, that's what this is. Oof, I needed that drink. I feel like I'm sober AF. I feel like I ain't drink nothing. Now I gotta get the Jaeger. I'm just playing. I'm not trying to get drunk. I'm honestly probably gonna start working on my resume because I need to do that. But that's what I got. I mean, if it don't resonate, don't take it. If it do. Honestly, at the end of the day, we all make the choices and decisions that we make for whatever reason. And sometimes we claim to make the choices and decisions that are in our best interest, but honestly, not a lot of times, sometimes it's not actually the case. Sometimes what we're actually doing, it's making like choices from a space of like self-preservation or from survival or whatever. But consequence is also a very real thing. And if we didn't have consequence, then it's almost like blessings wouldn't be blessings and miracles wouldn't be miracles. Because it's like no matter what you did, you would never get sort of like an appropriate outcome. It reminds me of the card that said it was as the earth pulls on the moon pulls on the earth. Just like this, men and angels have the same relationship, although it's not an equal like sort of power exchange, right? So the sun exerts a gravitational effect on everything in our solar system. And so too, everything exerts an equal and opposite effect back on the sun. But the sun is so much more massive that it has very little effect. So the force is the same. The force is exactly opposite. But if you're dealing with a body that is much, much, much larger than you are, it's not going to have the same impact. And so it's about, I guess, making yourself like spiritual heavyweight. putting on some spiritual pounds, right? Putting some punch behind that punch or whatever. Because if not, you're going to be fighting against forces that you can't even put a dent in. And then you're just going to feel defeated. And then you're going to go and do whatever you want to do. And it kind of sort of turns into this vicious cycles. It's like we get stuck with consequence. And because of the consequence to our own actions, we feel even more separate, or we get even more frustrated or even more upset with the divine that they're not keeping us from experiencing the consequence of our actions, when it's like the divine is literally like, well, you have free will and free choice. This is something that you chose, regardless of, despite all of this wise counsel, you chose to make the decision that you made, and you'll reap the consequences of it. And so don't get stuck in a cycle of consequence, bringing more consequences that you don't want upon yourself. You can still turn it around. You can still do better. Start somewhere, or don't. It's your life. You do what you want to. So that's what I got. Scorpio full moon is coming up, so I don't feel bad. I might just title this Scorpio full moon. Because it's in like what, 2 days? It's in like 2 days. I don't know the hours. Um, you're trying to put holes in things. Yeah. So maybe it's just some stuff to think about as we come into this Scorpio full moon, and it's I guess however you want to move forward. You don't like waiting for your circumstances and your situation to change before you do something is a way to go about doing things. But for me personally, it leaves too much up to chance. Because what if circumstances never change? Or what if it takes longer for circumstances to change than you have days left on your personal calendar? Because anything can happen to you at any time. And I'm done living a life of regret personally. Personally, I'm done with that. I did it. I did it for like 25 years. Wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth it. Very much so, not worth it at all. But we all reach our own conclusions, and we make our own choices and decisions, and that's your divine right to do it. But it is sort of like universal karmic law that you experience some form of repercussion and consequence to those actions and choices. Free will and free choice doesn't mean that you make a choice or a decision and you get off scot free, girl. Or maybe it does. If that's the reality that you manifest, if that's how things work for you, maybe it do work like that for you. And I'm just over here talking about something that ain't even applicable. But if it ain't applicable, then it ain't resonating. So why are you taking that? I'm just playing. All right. It was thanks for popping in, Zelda and Mimi. I'll catch y'all later. I hope y'all have a good whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. Honestly, some people don't want to be happy. And if you don't want to be happy, I hope you're absolutely miserable. If you want to be happy, I hope that you're experiencing the best. I hope you're getting that good healing. You getting your miracles in. You having a good day. You randomly find like $20, and then later in that day, there's somebody who needs $20, and you're like, oh, well, I found $20 today, and I don't really need it, so here you go. And that brightened up somebody's day. And then like 5 years down the line, you come across somebody, and they're like, hey, remember that one day you gave me $20? And you're like, no, what are you talking about? And it was like, well, like 5 years ago, you gave me $20, and that literally changed my life. Because it be like that. It be like that. It be these things that we don't even know that we're doing for people. So honestly, also, if someone's had that effect on you, like tell them, let them know. That's something that, like, if I tell you frequently or often, like, I'm so grateful that I've met you, or I'm so appreciative of this because I've grown in these ways and I've healed in these ways and it's helped me in this way or that way or whatever. The reason I'm like that is because a few years ago, I watched something, it was a TED talk about lollipop moments and how there are so many people that make such huge impacts on our lives in so like small of ways sometimes. And we never tell them, or they never tell us. And it's like, so we walk around not knowing. And it's not that we have to know, and it's not that we do it to get whatever. But You know, growing up, I experienced enough regret not telling the people how much I appreciate them before they passed. So I was like, I'm not doing that anymore because that feels sucky. So I'm going to tell people that I'm thankful and grateful when I feel it. So anyway, now I'm going to go. I'll catch y'all all later. Bye.